How's it going, everybody? My name is Tyler Brooks, and right now you are listening to Drinking at Mo's.
This is Drinkin at Mo's, where we talk about the pros of pro wrestling in the Midwest while sipping on some brews with blessed beers and wrestling. That's my scene. Death matches and lucha libre, it's all so mean. I'm a straight up smart goofball, not no kiss ass. I stand tall when it comes to wrestling. I'm the king. I know every move, every fling. Get ready for a wild time with Drinkin at Mo's, where we don't quit. Drinkin at Mo's, that's where it's at, like a power bomb. We hit hard, never flat. Fucking right, we're living the dream. Talking about wrestling, know it's a scream.
All right, everybody, taking time out before we get this show started. I want to thank Reaper Apparel for having Drinkin' Mo's be a brand ambassador for their clothing line. They got good stuff. They got t-shirts, they got hoodies, they got beanies, they got lots of great stuff, encouraging everybody to break out of their comfort zone, live their best self, and hey, it's something I try to live every day. Now, be sure when you go and you're filling out your order, use the code drinkinatmos, get 10% off, and the link and the code will both be in the description. Let's fucking go. All right, everybody, welcome. Drinkin' at Mo's. Big Mo here. Got him hit something at the desk here. Anyways, you know the drill. YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff, because it helps with that pain in the ass algorithm on the YouTube, where most places you can find audio too. Today, I'm excited to have Tyler Brooks with me. How you doing?
Doing wonderful, man. How are you?
Oh, like I said right before we started recording, I can't complain. 300th episode coming up. And
Hell yeah.
oh, yeah. With former Ring of Honor New Japan star Cheeseburger.
Oh, that's
yeah.
cool.
Yep, that one already got recorded and is ready to go. And literally the day after that, I am going to be attending Sami Callihan's promotion Revolver, and going to be second row for their season finale show. So, all in all, got a lot of good stuff coming up.
Hell yeah, dude. That's awesome to hear.
Oh, yeah. Tag team title main event no rope barbed wire match with one of the guys featured in the match, former guest Alex Colon.
Man, no rope barbed wire match. That sounds pretty nutty.
I've seen one other one in person, and yes, very much so.
Wow.
I've seen more no rope barbed wire matches in person than I've seen steel cage matches.
That's fair.
I've only seen one steel cage match, and now I'm going to be on my second no rope barbed wire match.
Steel cage, I think, aren't that common on the indies.
You know, now that I think about it, yeah, they aren't. But I got a little, in my notes here that I'm talking about a show where they had some steel cage match stuff on there. But what I like to start off with everybody with is what got you started as a fan, and then what got you deciding to make the leap into the business.
So what got me started as a fan, it was like 2006. So I was a little young, and my dad brought home an Xbox 360 for my older brother and I. One of the SmackDown vs. Raw games. So my brother and I got that. Didn't know much, like started to enjoy it, and then he introduced us to it on TV. And from there, like I always told myself it's what I wanted to do. And then in 2021, I like made the choice. I'm like, like it's now or never. If I make it, I make it. If I don't, I don't. So I signed up for a tryout with IWC in Pittsburgh, and I passed the tryout. And so far, I've been doing, with training, almost 2.5 years, and then actively doing shows for about 1.5 years now.
I was gonna say, I've seen, putting my notes together, there was 2 promotions I really saw, you featured in quite a bit. Excuse me, I love my Dr. Pepper, but it gives me the burps like funny. But IWC was one of them, and we'll talk a little bit about them here in a bit. But another thing I'd like to ask everybody is like how you came up with like the in-ring persona, like how you are out there, because I mean you're still in the part of the wrestling career where for a lot of people it can be a bit of a feeling out process, what's going to stick here, what am I really feeling as far as everything goes. How are you coming about there?
Definitely trying to find footing is difficult because like everybody's done something. So coming up with something relatively new is a bit of a struggle. Like most people take inspiration from who they watch on TV. So like I do a mix of like AJ Styles, Rey Mysterio, Seth Rollins, kind of the aspect I kind of shoot for because those are like my big three. But character-wise, in IWC, I'm debuting as a skateboarder, and my tag partner is a surfer. So it's kind of like a cool character.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, and hell, for me, having spent, my time in the Navy was most of it where I got outside of my job training school was all in San Diego. So the Southern California skateboard surfer culture. I get it. Like I've seen a lot of it down there. So seeing it fit into, the pro wrestling landscape, it can be interesting. I mean, hell, me going back a little bit further than you with, I am older, but going back to Sting and the classic surfer Sting, blonde, flat, like it can be a bit of a like I said, feeling out process because you don't want to like be an exact carbon copy of somebody.
Exactly.
But like I've talked with a bunch of people, there's nothing wrong with taking inspiration from all different avenues and just molding it into your own deal. That's where once you figure out how to do that and molding it into your own way of how it works for you, you can definitely get the fans behind you when they can feel like, okay, they feel you enjoying what you're doing and they just sense that you're happy out there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like the one thing I gotta watch though is like Darby Allin does the more skateboarding shit on TV, so I gotta kind of not be like exactly like him. So I just gotta throw my little.
Oh yeah, people give others crap about oh, your carbon copy of this or that, and it's like, well, as long as you're changing up enough to where they really have no room to speak on that, you don't really have an issue.
Yeah.
But you brought up an image in my head. I remember talking with somebody recently about if I were to have ever been able to get in the ring and getting there on the active basis, I always imagined myself as like a mix of Stone Cold and Tommy Dreamer. Like
that's a really cool combo.
Like the sheer like the mouth of Stone Cold and like the attitude mixed with the innovator of violence, the way he would come up with all sorts of shit. Like that would fit me just so well, the mix of those two. And hell, you got somebody kind of like that right now with like Kevin Owens. Like one of my absolute favorites right now, even though he's back to being the heel, which he just seems a little more natural out there that way.
I agree.
I've actually, before we go into some of the, with IWC, I just reminded myself of a story I have of actually running into Kevin Owens one time, which was funny because I was actually at Disney World and I was walking out, and all of a sudden, like, I don't know if I had to bend down to pick something up or something, but I just remember looking back up, and all of a sudden I see that T-Rex skull tattoo on his shoulder, and I just looked up. I'm like, holy shit. And he was with his family, so I'm like, I didn't want to interrupt family time, but I was like, I just remember running up to my wife and fanboying out like crazy. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, you won't believe what you just saw. And she's like, who? She's like, you're crazy. I'm like, he was right there. Yeah, so good times. Maybe one of these days I'll actually get to have a conversation with him. Anyways, we mentioned the tryout with IWC, and you know what? I've been lucky enough through the podcast to learn a lot about new places, new promotions, and one that has popped up quite a bit in, doing research and trying to figure out who to have on. IWC has actually popped up quite a bit. What has your experience been like there, like for you?
Everything's been great. I absolutely love the people, the booking team, and everybody there that I work with. Everybody's pretty easy to get along. The product's great. Like a big shout out to our production crew. Like without them, IWC wouldn't be what it is. They're really good at their job and making sure like the footage we get is top tier.
I was gonna say, I do, in the bits of footage I've been able to see, it definitely looks like it would be a nice show. And I'm not as okay, I'm worrying about new stuff about with them still. Are they on one of the streaming platforms? Or are they on like YouTube or somewhere where people, like, let's say people that will watch this episode, if they kind of like, I want to go check this out. Is there a spot like that they can go to check that out if they're not in your area?
Yeah, it's called Triller TV. I believe it used to be called Fight TV.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, so we usually have our stream our events on that.
Okay, cool. Yes, I am very familiar with them because they also, I mean, obviously with places like GCW's a highlighted one there, and I brought up Revolver there on there too. So, okay, I know right where to go now. Awesome, because there was a show we talked about, steel cage matches maybe not being as prevalent in independent wrestling. There was a show for IWC back in, I believe, August 10th, if my notes are correct, Caged Fury, where I saw a War Games and 2 different cage matches. I'm like, all 3 of that in one show, usually you'll see one or the other. There might be a couple cage matches. There might be a War Games. You generally don't see them both in the same show, which piqued my curiosity. So I'm going to have to go back and watch that one. What was that show like for you? Because you had I believe it was a tag team 3-way there.
Yeah, so usually Cage Fury is like, we do it once a year, usually every August. It's our like big cage show. So the first half of the show is usually just like your basic singles tag and all that. And then the second half is when they put up the cage, and then every match from then on is all behind the cage. And it's really like the whole process and how they set it up. Yeah, I had a tag match. I believe it was with my current tag partner.
I was wanting to say it looked like it.
I believe we wrestled Anthony Young, Matthew Yeager, Derek Dillinger, and Wes McCarthy.
I was wanting to say that's what it looked like when I was putting everything together. Yeah. Wow. I'm definitely going to have to go check that one out. What was like some memories you had from that particular show.
So that particular show is what kind of started me and my partner like coming together and actually starting to form the grounds for a tag team.
Okay.
Um, but like during training, like setting up that cage is no joke, man. That
Yeah,
shit's heavy, dude.
I can imagine. Like I've seen places setting them up, and I've been there live. Like I said, only for one, but hey, I got to see it get set up, and man, that looks like an entire process in and of itself.
I believe it took 8 people to set it up, 8 to 10.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, because normally, yeah, you see all the people in there getting it set up, and it's just like, ooh, boy, like you kind of wonder what all actually goes into it, actively setting it up.
Oh yeah.
That that's awesome. And you and your tag partner, although maybe for a little bit shorter of a time, have actually held tag titles together in Imagine Wrestling, where at least this year I've seen that you've been featured quite a bit over there. Like quite a few matches were listed.
Yeah. So I have a different tag partner. So
Oh, it's
currently,
different tag partner over there.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So at IWC, I'm teaming with Johnny Mahalo,
Yeah.
and then
Okay. Okay.
pretty much everywhere else, I'm in a stable with my buddy Kanan Christopher and my coach Glenn Spector. And
Yeah. Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
Kanan at Imagine.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm remembering putting my notes together there. Yeah, I do remember that. Like me being a fan of tag team wrestling, I love hearing stories about how they came together. Like, okay, the stable with those guys, how that just come about naturally with training. You just like, okay, we're gonna put you guys together.
So originally, I wasn't part of the stable. It was originally Kanan and Glenn.
Ah,
Because Kanan debuted first out of my class, and I debuted second. So a little bit like later in 2023, Glenn proposed me to like join the group, and I did. And so we go. There's like 4 shows we all are a stable at,
mm,
like West Virginia, Altoona, a couple places in Ohio. We were.
okay. And for at least Imagine Wrestling, what has your experience been like there? With the being a part of the group, and just for yourself, because sounds like you have a pretty solid base there with IWC, and getting out there to other places. How's it been for you there with everybody and by yourself at Imagine Wrestling?
So I'd imagine that was the first place Glenn took Kane and I on the road to, like while we were training, and it's like IWC. Like I find like them being another family of mine
Mm,
because I see them so often. They're another great group of people, and they're the crowds they draw for being in like almost the middle of Pennsylvania is like pretty big. They usually sell out every show, and it's
okay.
really cool, like a cool experience to wrestle in front of that many people
I
monthly.
was gonna I was gonna say, when you have places out there that are kind of out there, and it might take people from outside of that town a little bit of a drive to be able to pull that big of a crowd consistently is always a pretty cool thing. And when you got something special there,
Oh, absolutely.
that is awesome. I love hearing about places like that because you know much like a lot of different work environments, there's drama, there's this and that, there's negativity. So when you find places like IWC and Imagine Wrestling for you, it's always nice that you have that positivity, that family sort of vibe. Is hell.
Yeah.
I know I've ran into it with just the podcast with, some promotions and some negativity that, I mean, we don't have to go into all of that because I like spreading the good stuff.
Yeah, right.
But it's always nice when you have those places because you can go and just feel welcome, feel like, okay, your regular work might be driving you nuts on a particular night, but you get booked in a show, you go there, and it's like, okay, for at least that amount of time that you're there, that other stuff doesn't even matter. It's like it's not even happening, which I guess is the beauty of professional wrestling, really, because you can have that bit of an escape, really. Because hell, I know I again also had it with personal stuff and all that. I actually remember one time my wife actually told me when I was like just a little down and irritated, she's like, why don't you go? I know wrestling's on. Why don't you go watch that? That usually cheers you up. I'm like, okay. And then I'm fine after I watch it for a bit.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now I actually got two categories here. Though wait, you know what? Before the categories, I did mention, you have an Imagine Wrestling. I just noticed it in my notes here. It was a little bit short of a tag title reign.
Yeah.
I bet you guys got some plans on trying to get those back, though.
So eventually we do. Right now we kind of disbanded because our coach leader isn't with the company right now. So Kane and I are kind of going our separate ways. I'm sure there'll be plans next year, but we don't really know that far out yet. Like how they want to shift the story, sort of. But it was fun to be a tag champ for a week, man. Like
you still had those belts for that period of time.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting because there's been some tag teams that have split up. They've gone their separate ways. Although one that it's like, okay, I'm getting kind of seeing the writing on the wall here with the New Day. Like for the longest time, I remember asking people, okay, am I like legit? I can't be the only one seeing this because Kofi was still having some of the bright colors and this and that, and then over here's Xavier Woods and all dark.
Yeah, doom and gloom.
Doom and gloom is like, does anybody else sense this? And apparently I'm not the only one, but I imagine whenever you guys get back together, you'll be chasing after them belts because I mean, when you're a tag team and you don't have your eyes on those titles, it's like, what are you even doing? Much like I believe it was Dusty Rhodes had said once about if on the singles aspect of things, if your goal isn't to be the world champion wherever you're at, what are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, like, I get everybody has different goals, but like,
yeah,
dude, I would love to be a world champion at IWC one day. You know what I mean? It's on my list of things to do.
Oh yeah, when you're a tag team, your goal should always be at one point or another holding those belts. Singles guys, goal to be that main guy. Like that's the goal anywhere. I know for me with the podcast, my goal is to just keep putting shine people everywhere. Some that I might not have been as familiar with, others that like I just had John Wayne Murdoch on again, and having people of that stature, I'm not passing that up.
Right. Yeah.
But I love the idea of getting to, show people, to people outside of their area. where like hell, like I mentioned with the streaming services with IWC, getting people to be like, they'll watch this show and be like, I want to go check that guy out. So they go and watch IWC on Triller, and then boom, maybe you get another follower here or there, whatever it might be.
Absolutely.
I've heard of people telling me about that, and I'm like, sweet. That biggest compliment, one of the biggest compliments I can get, is when I can hear from somebody that's what happened for them.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, now my categories. I got a name game, which I'm going to do first, where I name off some people. You give me some quick thoughts on them, and I try to theme it towards the guests as much as possible. And with, Pennsylvania and everything, I listed off some people here that I would feel like if I wouldn't mention these people when talking about wrestlers from Pennsylvania, that some people would wonder, what the fuck am I doing?
Right.
So, first one, I think it would definitely be a sin if I didn't mention this guy. I did it with a broken freaking neck, the Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle.
Dude, my opinion, one of the GOATs. He's in my top 10. I love Kurt.
Oh, yeah. I go towards a lot of the intense personas. And I mean, he had that whole intensity, integrity, intelligence. I think the 3 eyes, right? It was the 3. Yeah. Okay. For some reason, I was having a brain fart and thinking there was 4. And I was pretty sure it was only 3.
Yeah, it was 3.
But yeah, dude, one of the, I don't think there's too many people out there that have transitioned from amateur wrestling to the world of professional wrestling and have the same amount of success in both as he did. And as quickly as he did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of a kind indeed. Now, okay, I have to do this when introducing this next person. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. I have to do that part.
I've never met her. I know she's from IWC. I really like her character and her story and transitioning from a dentist to a wrestler. It's such an uncommon profession switch. I think she's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, and the fact that she still does both full time.
Yeah,
if you want a good example for raising up daughters, unfortunately I'll go into it off camera, but my wife and I actually lost twin girls, so I'm not getting to do this. But if I were to think of an example of, somebody that, they can be successful in 2 different areas and do just as well at both. Britt Baker is a damn good example of that.
Oh, absolutely.
Alrighty. Next up, these 2, definitely 2 that I would love to have on, and I've actually had people on that have worked with both. First one, the franchise, Shane Douglas.
I have met Shane a few times working in West Virginia with the company ACW. He's really cool. I definitely just the energy he brings into the room and hearing him talk is just different. He actually used to manage the Target in that's 15 minutes away from my house.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I think I've heard something about he used to do that for a bit. Yeah. Huh. And yeah, man, just thinking about it, just getting to sit there and hear him talk about some of the experiences that he's had through, wrestling all over the damn globe would
Oh
just
yeah.
be, oh man, that would be wild. Last but not least for this one, he has led some of the craziest stables in multiple different promotions. And I've actually had one of the members of one of those on with the group that he had over in MLW. The person I had on was Akira, but the leader of the stable, Raven.
Hmm. Raven's style's different. Like think I prefer him in WCW over his little run in WWE. I think the
Oh, yeah.
WWE Raven was just astonishing at what he did and how he carried his character.
Oh, yeah. Man, talk about commitment to the character. And like literally everywhere he went, like ECW, he had his stable there. WCW had it there. WWE, I don't believe he had one. That's like probably the only promotion he hasn't had a pretty crazy stable at.
Yeah.
Everywhere else, TNA, MLW, just had some crazy stuff. I remember watching, oh God, was it War Chamber where he was in there with Akira and a few others and just insanity. And another guy that it would be pretty cool to, sit there and hear him talk about his experiences.
Yeah. I'd say my favorite stint that he did when he was on the Indies was his matches with CM Punk. They were all really good. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
think he did Ring of Honor a few times, I
Yeah, Ring
believe.
of Honor, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that those were like people when they talk about, some of the all-time great feuds in Ring of Honor, that one comes up a lot.
Yeah, I
And
think they did a dog collar match at one
oh
point.
yeah, the dog collar match. That's the big one from that. Oh yeah, wow. And just thinking about some of the people from Ring of Honor I've had on from, I mentioned Cheeseburger, former 6-man tag champ Dutch, had him, Beer City Bruiser, got some of the ones from the first shows, and even former owner Kerry Silken.
Okay. Quite
So
the roster.
oh man, that was pretty wild because I confirmed him to come on right before Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor,
Yeah.
but we kind of did it after. And I remember him telling me, okay, Tony Khan doesn't really like his people doing, having to go through the media people and all that.
Yeah.
Understandable. But he's like, I already told you I do yours, so just don't advertise it beforehand. So I'm like, if that's all it's going to take to make sure I get you on, let's do it.
Yeah, like that's not something hard to follow behind.
Wow, I do not know what happened with that was weird. The screen, those that get to watch the YouTube version, I'm like, how the hell did that happen? Like, I'm learning new stuff with this Zoom stuff all the time. Like, holy crap. That's the first time I've seen that. Wow, and I'm going off on a tangent now. All right. Well, before I go into too big of a tangent, now I got some random questions. And I love getting to ask these because not all of them are wrestling related. Not all of them have anything to do with anything we've talked about so far.
Okay.
That's why completely random. All right. First one, a wrestling related one, but what is the craziest in-match moment for you so far?
Oh, my first craziest in-match moment, I would say I wrestled Gannon Jones Jr. for the Super Indie title, and it was my first like singles title match.
Yeah.
And I wrestled twice that night. So after the first match was done, I was like, it's like, all right, man, this is gonna make or break me. And So like we were going through it, and I did two back-to-back dives, and I've never done a dive in a match before, so I was so afraid of getting caught on the rope, and I
Oh
nailed
God.
it. So, but
And
that's by far my favorite match. I
oh,
didn't win, but no, Dana
nice.
taught me a lot.
Well, hey, as long as you're having a good time out there and you're getting to have moments like that, that's all that matters. And yeah, I can understand the fear of messing up and like having your feet get caught on the ropes in a dive because you don't. Yeah, I'm making a reference to AJ Francis and that freaking dive where you like win and then all of a sudden
Oh
that
yeah,
everybody gives them crap about to this day. Although apparently I learned that actually in a way saved his life because he learned about something about I think diabetes or something. There's some medical condition
yeah,
that he learned that he had because of that moment. So it was like, okay, yeah, it was a crappy moment wrestling wise, but hey, a little silver lining in the craziness.
yeah. Honestly,
All right. Next up here, we are, as of recording, approaching Thanksgiving. Everybody has a favorite and a least favorite food, like ones that they love or ones that like don't even put that on my damn plate. What are your favorite and least favorite Thanksgiving foods?
I'd say my favorites are the classic turkey and pumpkin pie.
Oh yeah.
Can't stand cranberry sauce and green bean casserole. It's not for me.
Green bean casserole, as long as the green beans are fresh ones and not the canned stuff, I can do. I don't know why I can't stand the canned ones. Cranberry sauce, yeah, I'm not too huge into that myself, but man, my dad has gotten heavy into using his smoker. So like
Oh,
smoked or the deep fried turkeys. Oh, I'm getting hungry just thinking about it.
oh, yeah, those are the best. Anything like on a smoker's good.
Oh God, yeah. And my dad's been getting pretty good at it, so I'm well. I got to figure it. Family is then putting together plans last minute. Who the hell knows? But I know for me, my family gives me crap about this. I can't do deviled eggs.
Yeah, they're all right, I guess. Not really.
I don't know if it's like a texture thing or what, but like I have just the one time they got me to try one, I about like I legit like was gagging, like, okay, get this out of my mouth.
Yeah, like I like eggs, but not really deviled.
Oh, scrambled eggs
Yeah,
any damn day. Like you
yeah, for sure.
throwing some mixing like cheese, jalapenos, and whatever in there. I, maybe this is carried over from the Navy, but dumping a good helping of hot sauce on there.
I do that.
Oh yeah, any damn morning. All right, now people are already getting ready for Christmas, and I'm like, it just reminded me of a meme that I saw where there's 12 days of Christmas, none of which are in fucking November. I am fully in that right after Thanksgiving, but
Yeah.
leading into my question here, what is a favorite Christmas gift you got growing up?
Oh, honestly, it was probably I don't remember the exact set, but I was big into Legos as a kid, so
Ah,
I think my mom got me some sort of Lego Star Wars set that I just like fell in love with. But
nice, nice. I
yeah,
can't blame you there that Lego has made some pretty kick-ass Star Wars ones, that's for sure. Now, I know for me, growing up, my parents they they didn't really like that I was such a huge fan into wrestling, but as long as it kept me out of trouble, they were whatever. But I
yeah,
remember one Christmas that was the show itself was a couple months later, but they actually got my dad got him and I floor seats to my first ever WWF show.
No shit. That's
And I
awesome.
was like maybe I'd say between 5 to 10 rows from the ring and like literally maybe 5 seats from the entrance.
No shit.
And I actually got to see, well, I actually have a signed figure from one of the guys. It was Rikishi as Head Shrinker fought two, and it was him and his partner versus Owen Hart and Coco Beware. And I had Owen Hart walk by, and it was like
Dude, that's
sweet.
epic.
And then one of my personal favorites growing up was Big Boss Man.
Oh,
I
yeah.
gotta see, little third grader me standing there at the entrance and getting to see Big Boss Man walk by me, but then also seeing his opponent that night that I remember specifically, Yokozuna.
Ooh.
Me, little third grader, watching that huge son of a bitch walking by me. I'm like, don't kill me. But yeah, hands down, that's like my absolute favorite Christmas gift I ever got.
That's a good one.
Oh man, that I actually got when I got that figure signed by Rikishi. I actually got to tell him the story of him in that persona being in my first ever wrestling show. Period.
Yeah.
I got to tell him about that. So that was a pretty cool experience for me. All right. Now, with the name of a show like I have to ask, favorite drink, alcoholic or otherwise, because I always like to tell people just because it says Drinkin' does not mean that it has to be alcoholic, because hell, I've had people on that aren't of drinking age. I've had people on that, for one reason or another, just don't drink. Right. I try to be respectful and include everybody.
I drink. I'm not a huge drinker, but usually my go-to, I like tequila, and Angry Orchards are usually my two go-tos.
Okay, Angry Orchards, solid. Some people think I'm nuts in liking tequila, but I do have my two that I go to particularly. Coincidentally, both at least at one point were owned by celebrities: Casamigos and Terramana.
I like Terramana. The day I turned 21, I went to the liquor store and bought Terramana.
Oh God! Either one of those two, you put that stuff in a margarita, you better be freaking careful, because you can barely tell there's any damn alcohol in it when you're pouring that stuff in there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Applebee's has a Terramana margarita on their menu.
Oh God! Hopefully that's not one of those $1 ones, because those would be freaking dangerous.
No, it's one of the more expensive ones, but if they were $1.
Oh God, you would. Thankfully, I have Applebee's that's like maybe a couple miles down. I can walk it off, but no, that that would be too damn dangerous. Holy shit! Yeah, no, don't put that on the $1. Alrighty, actually, I got another one here. Some of my hobbies behind me here. I know wrestling can take up a lot of time because it's an ever evolving process. You're always learning, always improving. But what is a hobby you have outside of wrestling, if any?
I actually collect CDs. Is a big thing I do.
Okay.
And I collect some wrestling figures. I have a few. Not a big collection, but
okay. Yeah, like as far as figures go, it's pretty much behind me here. I really the only ones that I don't keep in the box are for like my ones like right here that they've passed away, so I'm not going to be meeting them. But
Yeah.
if there's even a chance that I'm going to be able to meet them down the road, I keep it in there because I like that story of not buying them like already signed. I like that story of taking it to the person,
Right.
like I did with Rikishi or oh god, Keith Lee and the Swerve.
Oh, that's another cool one.
Oh man, Swerve. I tell it often that it's always funny when some of the guys that in front of the camera when the lights are on can play some of the most sadistic sons of bitches.
Oh yeah.
But behind the camera, when the camera's off, some of the nicest people ever.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Swerve, one of those.
I
One of
can
the
definitely
nicest dudes. Like he actually follows me on X or Twitter or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And like he followed me after I said it's bucket list material for me to have him on the podcast. And then I said another bucket list for me was okay, I have like funny that a podcaster will say this, but when it comes to karaoke, extreme stage fright. But I said, you know what? It would be bucket list that if I ever got to do Forgot About Dre with Swerve and me doing the Eminem part, I would be like, I don't care. Give me a little liquid encouragement and I'm all over that.
Dude, that would be legendary.
So I am not passing that up if I ever got that chance.
Hell, I wouldn't either.
Oh man, now I'm like, damn it, I want to do that even more. All right. Last but not least here, best advice you have for anybody wanting to get into wrestling?
My best advice would be if you're gonna do it, stick with it and see it through. There's a lot of hard times you'll go through. I've been through a few rough patches already early in my career so far. Because if you quit, you'll never know how far you could take it. And if you stick with it, it could take you to great places and you meet a lot of great people, learn so much. And another good thing is to do is listen to your coaches. They know what's best for you. Definitely don't let your ego take hold. Definitely always be willing to have an open mind, learn. It's not easy, but it's definitely, I encourage everybody that has this dream to shoot for the stars.
Oh yeah. And even if you find out that maybe the active in-ring part ain't for you, there's so many other jobs in wrestling for putting together a show that they're just as important. You got the ring announcers, you got the commentators, people in production. It's like there's all sorts of pieces of the puzzle that you figure out, like, okay, the in-ring part might not be my spot, but this is. If you don't at least try, you never know.
Yeah.
Like, oh God, who was it that told me the answer is always no if you don't ask?
Right.
Yeah, and hell, even with the podcast and jumping into commentary, I've had some rough patches that came up, kind of as of late, that I will go into another time. But it's those things that kind of teach you, okay, well, whatever I got to do to avoid going through that again.
Yeah.
Then you learn it. Then you don't go through it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
man. Life's all about learning.
Oh, most definitely. All right. Now, before we go, where can people find you social media wise? So if they don't already have their eyes on you, they can go ahead and get them there.
Facebook is Tyler Brooks. Instagram should be Tyler Brooks Official. And same thing with X or Twitter.
Okay. I can definitely get all of that in the description. that is about all I got. I am starting to get freaking hungry, so I need to get my damn dinner. But again, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me tonight. It was an absolute pleasure. I wish you luck out there with IWC, Imagine Wrestling, and everywhere in between.
Thank you. I'm grateful to be able to come and talk to you and be on your podcast and share some stuff about myself, man. It was really awesome.
Thank you. Means a lot. All right. Got see where I have with the fucking